what do you think about Christian rappers who don't always put heavy, like, theological things into their music? Do you feel like that's necessary? First of all, that's my first question. Do you feel like it's a necessary thing for at least and I understand not every Christian rap artist have to do that, but do you feel like there needs to be some Christian rap artists to like go hardcore with the gospel message in their music?
Yeah, I think it needs to be in context. There are some, quote unquote Christian rap artists that needs to really push the God, Jesus message. But I don't think that that's the only thing that we need to be rapping about. There are other issues. There are other situations that people are not talking about that need to be talked about. Just to live in a great life, getting out of addiction and bondage and stuff like that. That type of stuff is real issues, emotional healing and mental health. Those are actual bona fide conversations and music that we need to talk about. Now, we can do it from a Christian aspect of it. There are a lot of recording artists that don't necessarily deal with those type of things, even though that's the prevailing issues going on right now. Now, I do understand that at the end of the day, the only thing that matters is, are you winning souls? It doesn't matter heavily as far as the whole scope of everything about, the issues and stuff like that. And, God can heal everything. God is the answer to everything. I got that. But at the same time, if we're winning souls and we're not addressing those issues, if we're not dealing with the stuff that people deal with on a regular basis, how long do you think that faith is going to last? If they have problems and issues and trials and stuff like that they're going through, some people's faith is not that strong, and they just come out of addiction, they just come out of prison, and they come out of abuse, all of that type of stuff, but they're still in that mess. Who's dealing with those particular type of issues, the common things? There's so much to talk about when it comes to your music. You could have an album that's like, I love what Lecrae did. His album was talking about a rehab, and he was talking about mental health, and it's stuff that he had to go through as a Christian, have everything crashing around him as a Christian. And he had to go through a self-discovery again. There was this video that I watched a long time ago about him going back and looking at how he used to be, how he used to present himself at just interviews. And when I saw it, I was just like, oh, let me hear this, because I've heard a lot of people talk about how you changed. You don't talk about Jesus a lot.
That was actually going to be my next question for you when you brought him up, because a lot of people always question that about him. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So to be honest with you, I applauded it, because one of my favorite albums that he did was not an album at all. It was his mixtape, Church Clothes. I loved how he came and talked about other types of issues, other types of things, and he used unorthodox processes on how he presented the message of God. And a lot of people didn't like it. A lot of people looked at it as, hey, he's turned his back on God. He's turned his back on how he used to be. He was just Jesus Christ. But this particular video that I saw him go back and listen to him talk, it was crammed, filled with Jesus and how he explained it, because how some people articulate things is not always the truth on what's actually going on and what's actually going on in your mind. You're only hearing the output of what's being put out there, but you don't know what's going on in somebody's mind unless you ask them. And that's what I appreciated about this particular video, was that he talked about what was actually going on in his mind. And so he was thinking too much about, hey, I got to put this in, I got to put that in, I got to put this in, I got to say Jesus all through this to make sure that I over communicate the gospel and stuff like that. And so he started to kind of just say that, hey, that was all well and good, but at the same time, you need to know who you are and let your light shine, and people know what you're about. You don't have to over communicate the gospel and try to cram Jesus down everybody's throat, and that's good for the super Christians. But for the people who we're trying to reach, they don't even want to hear that stuff. You know what I'm saying? It's like going to the stand outside the club at the club line and talking about Jesus is the way, the truth, the light. No man comes to the Father but by him. All y'all going to hell. You got to get saved and all this other stuff. And it's like you're not reaching anybody doing that type of stuff. If you're going, and that's our main focus on what we're trying to do, is reach the lost. Okay. Now, if you're there to empower other Christians, by all means, Jesus, God all day. But when it comes to actual people, the actual people who have turned their back on God, one of the reasons why is because it was crammed down their throat. And so Lecrae started to realize who his real audience is. And so he fashioned his message in a way that it reached them.